Hey everybody, Coach Stacy Lynn here. Today I am coming in here. It is April 29th. It's a Tuesday. And I'm coming in here today. I thought I would do a personal update today because I had to deal with some personal stuff yesterday. And it has left me kind of in a sad state. So if I look sad, if I look tired, it's because I am. And it's interesting because one of the things that my audience has appreciated about me in the past is just my authenticity in dealing with stuff. So if you're new to the channel, just want to let you know I'm Coach Stacy Lynn. My goal here is to help you grow spiritually and to heal from abuse and trauma and to know that you don't have to be stuck. You can move forward. And I offer a free consultation. You can set that up. It's a Zoom chat, so you can meet with me on Zoom should you decide you want to do that. And I hope you do, because I love meeting people and I love seeing how I can minister to people who may have some issues that you want to work with. So yesterday I had to put my cat to rest. And I know some people are not animal people, so if you're not an animal person, feel free to just click off. Actually, right behind me is my dog Grover, who is kind of in a state of sadness himself because my cat that I had to put down, Gideon, who I, by the way, have posted in our little part where you can post. I posted a picture of him in there. Gideon and Grover have been best friends for like 15 plus years. So today I'm kind of in a just kind of here, not real chipper like my normal chipper self, but genuinely feeling the loss of a pet that I've had for a very long time. 15 years is a long time to have a pet. Very long time. You see, there you go, right there. But here's what I know. What I know is that I did the best thing for him because he had feline dementia, and for the last 4 years, my husband and I have been dealing with him and his screaming and stuff. And it just got to the point where, we couldn't control where he was going to the bathroom or anything like that. So it wasn't even, the vet told us it wasn't even a physical problem as much as it was his dementia creating the issues. Because one minute he would be fine, the next minute he'd be like out of crazy. Aren't all cats crazy though? I mean, let's just say it, right? So yeah, my husband, he would give him catnip and he put it down in front of him. He'd eat a couple pieces, he'd walk away, and 30 seconds later he'd be screaming and he'd want it. And my husband would go, "It's right there, cat." So the vet that we took him to told us that that basically 20 years ago when she was trained to be a vet, that they weren't taught how to treat pets with emotional disorders. And she said that she's seen a lot of that in the last 20 years. And of course, living in Tennessee, she sees a lot of animals because Tennessee is literally an animal state. Almost all my neighbors have animals, with the exception of a couple. A couple don't, but most of my friends have animals. And so if you are an animal person, you kind of know how big a loss a pet is. And sometimes pet loss can be greater than a person, because pets generally give you unconditional love, if you want to call it that, right? There he goes. He's finally going to sit down. That's good. Poor little guy. So, one of the topics I coach people on, I've worked with a lot of people on, is grief. I've gone through a lot of my own grief and bereavement. Over the last 56 plus years, I've buried my mother and my father. I've had 9 animals that have 8. I have 9. He's my 9th. I have 8 prior animals that I buried. But Gideon was really special. Gideon was an orange cat who talked, and he talked and talked and talked. You could literally hold a conversation with this cat, and he totally understood you. And he was a fun cat. When I first got him, he was actually under my neighbor's house. My other cat, Boswell, that I had before him, he was getting older. And one afternoon, I went and I found these 3 other kittens. They were in my neighbor's driveway, and they had been abandoned. So my husband and I, we took those kittens in, we bottle fed them, and then we gave them away. And about 3 weeks later, my neighbor was like, there's this other cat under our house. Can you get it for me? Because I don't like cats. So I went into her garage, and we were able to get this orange tabby out of her house, and Gideon was born. We figured he ended up being part of that 3, and he was somehow left behind, but he was vocal. So I had a friend convince Randall, my husband, to keep this cat. And 15 plus years later, yesterday, we had to bury him. But when we first got him, he was as kittens are, they're always animated. He loved to fetch. This cat fetched. I could throw a bottle cap and he would go get it and bring it back. He never really had any health issues his whole life, except the dementia, which was basically what I've been dealing with the last 4 years or so. So my sadness is obviously because I love my cat. Love my cat. And it's the biggest thing that I think I'm dealing with right now is I'm just grieving his presence because he's not here. He's not here making noise. And a cat with dementia, if you've never had a cat with dementia, they can be very vocal and act crazy. They scream, all that. So yeah, it's just really quiet in my house. And, my husband and I were talking about it, and it's like, we've been married 33 years in August, so coming up on 33 in a couple of months, and we've had a cat the whole time. And we both agreed that Gideon was going to be our last cat. So for 32 years, I've literally lived with a cat. So it is so weird for me, with the exception of going on a vacation here and there where we had to put him in a kennel. It's just really weird to not have my cat here. He was usually on the bed. If he wasn't on the bed, he'd follow me down here, try to get, he'd lay on my couch, lay on the back of the chair. He would go in the kitchen, scream because the food wasn't good enough. He was just pretty much everywhere under my feet. And yesterday was tough. I'm very thankful that I have a lot of praying friends, because a lot of people were praying for me, and I could feel God's presence through it all, which was quite amazing. But the hardest part was talking to the vet and having her, she talked to us for at least a half hour before she agreed to put him down, because she wanted to make sure that we understood what was going to happen and all of that. And we agreed. And I didn't want to do it. Everything in me did not want to do this. But one thing, if you don't know, cats generally don't die quietly, and they generally die in a lot of pain. like screaming and things like that. And it's something I actually read on the internet, and then I actually confirmed it with the vet. She said that that was pretty accurate. So obviously, you don't want an animal that you've loved forever to go out of the world in massive pain. And so the first thing she did was gave Gideon a little sedative, and I was holding him in my arms when she did that. And he went completely limp. He gave a big yawn, and he looked at me, and his big green eyes, it just killed me. And then a couple minutes after that, she put him on the table and gave him his last shot. And I held his head in my hand, and I gave him a kiss and had my hand on his body until his heart stopped. Then after his heart stopped, I picked him up and held him for a while, which was kind of weird to hold a dead animal. But so yeah, it sucks. So I am going to allow the process to take place and realize that this is normal, right? A lot of people would be like, why are, like, you want to try to get over it. No, you don't get over this. You don't get over, people who, I actually know a couple people, I think they're sociopaths who don't understand pet loss. It's like they have no connection whatsoever to a pet, But for me, it's even kind of a bigger loss because I'm not a mother of children. And even though I don't look at my pets as literal babies, the reality is you take care of them, you look at their medical issues, you feed them, you take care of them, you bathe them, etc. And at the end with Gideon, we had to give him baths, and he wasn't cleaning his litter, so he'd get cat litter stuck all in his paws, and it just wasn't good. But holding him was kind of the killer part for me, because it was a part of my heart. Him and Grover over there actually became my pets a little over 15 years ago when I had a hysterectomy, and I couldn't, I had to deal with the loss of not being able to have children due to a cancer scare. And so Boswell, my first cat, approved of Gideon, so we kept him. And then shortly after, I got Grover. And so there's kind of a anticipatory grief I'm feeling about Grover now because he's about the same age. And he's doing okay, but he's blind and deaf. And so it's, kind of an attachment thing with him. I'm not sure how he's going to do. The vet told me to watch him to kind of look. But Grover has been interesting too, because over the last week, he was crying around Gideon, and he was touching him, sleeping next to him more than normal, crying and whimpering around him, and I was kind of like, this isn't good. And then when we came home, he was fine. He went right to the spot on our bed where Gideon slept. He just kind of laid there, gave a deep sigh, and that's pretty much it. He hasn't been crying or anything. So I think he knows, and I think that, my next step in dealing with this is just taking care of my other dog. But, I know a lot of people like me who are childless, who really love animals, and losing a pet, like I said, can be way more traumatic than losing a person, because they give you, they really do give you unconditional love. in exchange for basically just feeding them. So today, I just wanted to share that. My goal in this channel is to offer you hope and encouragement. And today, I just thought, well, I'm just going to come in here and tell you where I'm at and how I'm doing. And I'm just sad. I'm just really sad. Really sad. I'm heartbroken. I feel like a big piece of my heart has just been ripped out of my chest and smashed into a million pieces. So, but that's okay. Because, I always tell people that, especially for a pet owner, you have a lot of good days and then that one awful day. And for me, I'm really grateful that I got to be with my cat. I got to hold him, and that he was being kissed and loved on even to the very end. It was really difficult because when we brought him into the vet office, he was chatty and he hid under the table, typical things animals do at the vet. And it just, I think for me, that's the hardest part, is just watching him, because he was still moving and talking and just full of life. But the vet said that she would not have put him down if she thought that it could get any better. And sometimes quality of life, is what it is with, a mental state. So I think that's the part I'm struggling with the most, is that, and it's kind of strange too, because I took care of my dad with dementia for 8 years, and I would never put down a human because of a mental issue. Interestingly, they had a lot of similar issues. But, you never put down a person for that issue. But an animal, yeah. So, not sure what you guys are going to think of this video. But if you pray, I would ask for your prayers for comfort, because I know that I'm, it's been 24 hours and I'm kind of in the midst of still accepting this. So, but I did want to share, and like I said earlier, one of the things I help people with is grief. So, it's what it is, right? I will say, in case you guys don't know, my husband and I, we use Chewy for our pet needs, Chewy.com. This is not sponsored by them, by the way, but I will tell you that I contacted them because, you need to update profiles. They actually sent me a thing because I order so much food from them. When I logged in today, and Gideon's birthday is in a couple of days, it said, get Gideon a gift for 20% off. And I was like, oh. So I chatted with one of Chewy's people, and they gave me a refund on the cat food that I had left, which was very kind of them. I also know that they tend to send flowers and gifts and sometimes to people. I don't know if they're going to do that with me or not, but they actually have a bereavement section on their Chewy site where you can put up a little picture of your animal. And then they take you to like this other page that has like 15 ways or something to deal with your pet loss. And the entrepreneur in me laughs at that, because I'm like, of course, it's going to upsell you over here. We almost got tempted to upsell for the cremation, but we didn't. We opt to take the body home, which we did, and my husband buried under a tree in our yard. But we did that primarily because of money, because we're on a thin income and didn't want to spend $100 on doing something we did in an hour by digging a hole in the backyard. I know it sounds cheap, but hey, when you live on one income and it's thin, that's what you do, people. So, but yeah, Chewy.com is great. I love them. They have been, Chewy is probably one of the best businesses I have ever bought from. And I don't know what their politics are. Probably don't agree with them. Probably. I don't know. But they have treated me very well as a customer, from getting bad shipment to sending me extra stuff when I didn't ask for it, to saying, here, you can have this, or here, we'll refund you on that. They just have really good customer service. So, um, so, so in closing, because I don't want this to go too long, it's gone 20 minutes already. Um, I would love to hear your pet story. Do you have a pet story of losing your pet? If so, how did it happen? Like, how did you get through it? Um, you know, I want to show you. They gave me, of course, the vet always has a card ready, right? So they gave me a nice card, but they put his paw print inside. So one of the things that they made a comment about was how little his feet were. And I didn't really realize how little his feet were until she pointed it out. But it's true. Look how little that paw is. Very little. So I treasure this, of course. So yeah, tell me your story. And if you're interested in coaching, that's why I'm here. And also to encourage you. And I will just end with this and just say that, one of my favorite passages in scripture is that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and the contrite in spirit. I love that verse because I've lived it so much in my life, and I know it's true. There's also another verse that says that the righteous take care for their animals. And what I did yesterday was, I think, the righteous and most kind thing I could have done for my cat. Because he was scared. He was living in fear so much with dementia. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you guys have a good day. And I will be back in a few days, hopefully, with another video. Maybe a little bit less sad, hopefully. But either way, I'm going to give it the process. Feel free to ask me how I'm doing if you care. And let me know how you are. Okay? Take care.